taste or a cold of death, because you will die if you open the window. Again, this is an exaggeration, really, but this shows us how Catherine here is sick, how Catherine is sick because of delirium. Her mental health is deteriorating. Now, what does she say when she opens the window? The air was like a knife, the night was black, and she said she could see the lights of Wuthering Heights. Now, on page 155, she tells Nellie Dean, "Oh, look, Nellie, there is this Wuthering Heights. There is the church and the churchyard too. We have often been there together, haven't we? We've stood beside the graves. We called upon the ghosts to come." She and Heathcliff, she means. She tells, she says also, "Will you come to the churchyard now, Heathcliff? If you do come, I will keep you there." Here. "If you do come, I will keep you there. I won't stay there alone. They can bury me 12 feet under the ground, but I will not rest until you are with me, Heathcliff." This is on page 155. Notice what she says. "Look, that's my room with the candle in it, and the trees swaying before it, and the other candle is in Joseph's garret. Joseph sits up late, doesn't he? He's waiting till I come home that he may lock the gate. Well, he will wait a while yet. It's rough journey." This is so beautiful. I've taken this quote and put it here. "He's waiting till I come home that he may lock the gate. Well, he will wait a while yet, for it is a hard journey to go back to Wuthering Heights again, and a sad hard to travel it." Why? This exile again. My home is Wuthering Heights. My home is not Thrushcross Grange. And in Wuthering Heights, I am not feeling homesick. Why? Because I'm in my home. However, if I go from Wuthering Heights to another place, I will be an exile. And if I have to take the journey again from Thrushcross Grange back to Wuthering Heights, I will feel that it is a very long, rough journey, and carrying a very sad heart to travel to it back again. Now, Catherine here says, "We must pass through the graveyard, Heathcliff. We've been brave enough to do it many times together. But when I die, I will not die there by myself. They may bury me 12 feet deep, but I will not rest till you are with me, Heathcliff. I never will." Again, this whole idea of remembering Heathcliff, wanting to be yearning for Heathcliff. Again, as we said, love is the yearning for immortality, and it is through being together they feel that their love is eternal. Their love is making them feel that they are one, they are the other. They're not human beings. Nellie, I am Heathcliff. Now, what happens later on is that finally Edgar came to his wife's room. He was angry with Nellie, to which Nellie tells him that she had not known Catherine was ill, but he was still angry with me. Notice here on page 156, she tells him she has been fretting there and eating scarcely anything and never complaining. She would admit none of us till this evening, and so we could not inform you of her state, as we were not aware of it ourselves, but it is nothing. Again, the idea that a servant who notices the slightest changes in a person and their, let's say, mistress, they would immediately go and inform her husband, right? Now, Edgar here, he held Catherine in his arms, but at first she did not recognize him. Then she spoke to him. "So you have come at last, Edgar Linton." To which he tells her, this is on page 157, Cathy, what have you done to yourself? Am I not important to you anymore? Do you love that man, Heath? and he stops. To which he tells him, "Hush! Do not say that name, because if you say it, I will die now. I will jump out of the window, and I do not want you, Edgar. Go back to your books." She also tells him, what you touch at present, you may have. You can touch my body. My body is all yours, but my soul will be forever on that hilltop before you lay your hands on me again. Nellie decided to go to the village to get the doctor. As she walked across the garden, she saw something horrible. Now, this is, I believe, on page 158, 159, like to the whole end of the chapter. Okay. Now, for the whole 4 pages here, we don't have anything like to highlight. We just have the final on page 163, to which we will talk about it also later. So Nellie Dean said that she decided to go to the village and to get the doctor. And as she walked across the garden, she saw something horrible. Isabella's pet dog. We will also talk about this because this is very important. She saw that Isabella's pet dog, Fanny, was hanging by its neck from a hook in the wall. It was tied to the hook by the handkerchief, and it was nearly dead. But then Nellie said that it began to breathe again when she untied the handkerchief. Nellie here, she starts to ask a question to which we also ask this question. Why would anyone do such a cruel thing? We do not know. So again, she continues with the story. I hurried on to the village to get to the doctor. She says that Mr. Kenneth tells Nellie that he has heard on good authority or words that Isabella has run off with Heathcliff. Nellie here gets too scared to tell Edgar because in the previous situation when Edgar saw how ill Catherine was, he rebuked her for not telling him. So now she is completely scared and she cannot tell Edgar. But when he does find out, he seems later on resigned to her decision. Now, the question is, why would Heathcliff torture the animal? Let's talk about this for a bit. Now, if we go back to Heathcliff's childhood, Heathcliff's trauma begins in childhood. When he was a child, he was picked up by, as we said, Mr. Earnshaw. He was starving, homeless, and he was, as he said, as good as dumb on the streets of Liverpool. So he then is quickly dehumanized by his step-siblings, Catherine and Hindley, who at first, if you remember, they emotionally abuse him. They label him as the Ghoul, the vampire, the imp of Satan, and so on. Nellie also the manipulative. She was manipulative at first, where she views Heathcliff as some sort of goblin. She even continues to use that word, goblin. She said she put him on the landing of the stairs, hoping that it notice the word or the pronoun it might be gone on the next morning. So, which tells us what? Heathcliff is not wanted inside Wuthering Heights. Now, having been rescued from this state of an abandonment, he is abandoned once again. Only this time, how is this abandonment? It is psychological, or it's not just psychological, really, it is actual abandonment by Catherine, where she abandoned him, and this created within this in him this psychological, mentally being unable to control his emotions. Now, Heathcliff endured so much. If you look at him, he was always called the ploughboy, the blow ruffin. He was subjected to blows, to pinchings, to beatings, and he handled so much. No person truly would ever like handle this much of a blows and this much of harassment, whether beating him physically or verbally being attacked. Now, through life, he goes through life without showing weakness, as we said. Why? Because weakness to him would risk further punishment. However, his rage must emerge in some form later on. And this is one of the forms of his rage, which is the idea of him torturing animals. Now, the idea of torturing animals, it first started ever since he was a child, actually. When he was a child, he set a trap for a baby bird. In adulthood, however, he graduates to starts gradually to have these acts of violence, like, for example, hanging Isabella's dog, which tells us what? That maybe we will talk about this very soon, which is the theme or the idea of mental illness, psychological, being psychologically or mentally unwell, because this is very much important. The anti-social personality disorder and the also complex post-traumatic stress. Now, why does Heathcliff torture animals? Well, this is a symbolic reenactment, which is what? It's like acting out of a scene or event that took place in the past. This mirror image of his own abuse in childhood. When he was a child, he was defenseless creature. He was always tortured by adults. And now that he is an adult, what does he do? He tortures defenseless animals, defenseless creatures, which is a very beautiful, it's like unacceptable. But the way the author does it, and like connecting between the beginning and then this image, it's very, very genius. Now, what happens later on, the next morning, when the doctor got, not the next morning, within the same day, when the doctor got to the Grange, Kathy was sleeping. Here, this one, yes, this one. Kathy was sleeping. The doctor remembered her illness a few years ago, and he said that she might get well. He was hopeful that she would be well if they treated her kindly or well. The next morning, there was also another more trouble. Isabella did not come down from her room for breakfast, and soon a servant came, Mary. She came running to them. What does she say? She says, the girl, she's gone. She's run off with Heathcliff. Here you can see, oh, master, our young lady. To which he tells her, be quiet, won't you? To which Nellie tells her, speak lower, Mary. What is it? Now Nellie here, she knows about the story, yet she doesn't tell Edgar because she is afraid of him rebuking her again. So the girl here, she tells Edgar. Now, Nellie, she ran up to Isabella's room and found out that it was true. She had gone. The boy, she told us, Mary told them that a boy had seen Isabella and Heathcliff together at midnight out on the moors. Now, Edgar would not do anything, to which Nellie here, she asked him about his decision. What are you going to do, Edgar? And he did, and he told her nothing. She went because she wanted to go. This is on page 163. He says, hereafter she is only my sister in name, not because I disown her, but because she has disowned me. She went because she wanted to go. I told her I would not see her again if she married Heathcliff, yet she went and married Heathcliff without my consent, without my permission, and so she disowned me, and it wasn't me who disowned her. And in a way, it's true, to be honest, because when you look at it, Edgar here, he advised her because he know who we all know who Heathcliff is, and even Catherine, even though when she told her those words, yes, in some way she was jealous, but at the same time, because she wanted also the goodness for her, like the benefit for her.